What's up, everybody? Welcome into another new episode of the Rapala Collegiate Bass Podcast, gearing up for the next event, the second event of the season for the Association of Collegiate Anglers of the 25-26 Bass Pro Shops Collegiate Bass Fishing Series. That will be the AFTCO Collegiate Bass Open, taking place at Lake Dardanelle in Russellville, Arkansas on October 11th through 12th. Paying out over $20,000 in prizes and contingencies, awarding payout down to 30th with some exact places, a power pole to the overall Big Bass, and 2 AFTCO Titan landing nets, as well as AFTCO contributing a lot to this tournament, of which you can read more about on our website at collegiatebasschampionship.com. Today, on this episode of the Rapala Collegiate Bass Podcast, we're being joined by Kane Rositsky and Collier DeClerc from the University of Arkansas there in the state of Arkansas, where Lake Dardanelle is just a couple hours south of campus. So, Kane, we'll bring you in real quick, man. Lake Dardanelle on the Arkansas River system. Talk a little bit just about the fishery and how it sets up and your knowledge of it.
Hey, well, thanks for having us on here. This is going to be my third year in a row fishing this tournament. It's always a great time, so I'm really happy we could talk about it before. So Lake Dardanelle, Arkansas River system, typical lock and dam lake, lots of backwater, lots of miles of main lake. You can get lost really fast up shallow. There's probably hundreds of miles of little creeks and arms and stuff that you can get real sneaky with. And then obviously you have your main lake stuff, your jetties, your rock walls, your docks, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fishery I have a little bit of familiarity with, not a lot. I was on it maybe a half a dozen times when I was in school in the state. And so, it's pretty shallow. It's a river fishery like you were explaining, but fairly diverse still in the cover that's offered. That's shoreline vegetation, lily pads, any type of other growth, rocks, timber, and some stuff even off on the main river channel to flirt with as well in terms of offshore structure and different changes like that. Collier, talk a little bit more about the cover that's out there and going into the fall of the year. What is it that you might be targeting or keeping an eye out for during practice and competition?
Yeah, I think whenever I'm looking at Dardanelle, you kind of have your main areas you can go to, like Illinois Bayou or running up into Piney, and you're going to have those rock walls, kind of like what Kane was talking about, where it's really good to pitch up along. Those fish have that access to that deeper water, but also with it being a river fishery, those fish are always going to be pushing shallow. So there's lots of grass along the edge of the lake. There's even a bunch of lily pads if you start heading up the river a little bit. So there's a lot of cover those bass can get under. So I think this time of year, that fall transition is kind of starting to happen right around when the tournament's going to happen. Temperatures are kind of dropping low. So those fish are going to be up shallow, I feel like, chasing bait, trying to set up a position where they can eat on some shad that are swim by. So really top waters are going to be good in the morning, maybe swim jig and stuff. Just kind of looking for little subtle areas that are going to stick out where maybe a fish is sitting on waiting to ambush some prey.
Kane, kind of build upon what Collier was talking about there in terms of bait selection, what you're going to be looking for what the fish are foraging on and things like that. Is this, like you said, your third year in a row of fishing this tournament, here about the same time frame every year, conditions looking fairly similar to years past? What are you predicting will be the forage that the fish are targeting and the baits that you're going to have tied on as well?
Yeah. So a little bit about Dardanelle from the past 3 years I fished it. That lake is about adapting. If you can't figure out what the fish are doing day to day, then you're going to be lost. It has kicked my butt time and time again, and I think the kind of approach I'm going to have going into the weekend is going to be to keep it super simple. I feel like in the past I've focused on, changing my baits a ton, from anything live scoping a bunch. I think I'm just going to go out with the mindset of spinnerbait, jig, top water, and really have to see what the conditions are going to be like, how the fish are reacting. But now there's a lot of grass on the shoreline. I'm probably going to do a bunch of punching. Swim jig's a good one, but really I'm just going to put my head down and fish. I do think a key lure I'm going to be turning to is definitely going to be a spinnerbait there.
Yeah, that was something that's been interesting in the last couple of years to see play out is the the evolution of the fishery some. It seems like, as you mentioned, there's some more shoreline vegetation. The water's maybe cleaning up a little bit. Dardanelle, at least when I was there, was always known for being pretty shallow and muddy, and you get just a little bit of rain and it just turns to chocolate milk. But that the stability of the fishery in recent years has played a role, as we had talked with the guys last year before last, I believe, with Arkansas Tech that had won it, and they were saying the same thing, that you're seeing the lake be more stable, the water's cleaning up, the fishery as a whole overall very healthy. Collier, talk a little bit about that and what you've seen in years past coming into this year and how you think that might affect the weights and the anglers' ability to go get a lot of bites here during the AFTCO Collegiate Bass Open.
Yeah, I think just like what you're saying, the mindset is trying to find that a little bit cleaner water. And a lot of those main creek channels, like Piney, or you go back into Shoal or Delaware and stuff like that, there's going to be a lot of anglers that are going to try and get back in that, where even if it's just, 6 inches to a foot more visibility, sometimes that can make the difference. And I think I've really seen that come into play, especially last year was my first year fishing it, but you notice that a lot of these main areas get really crowded really quick. I think last year in Piney tried to go back in it, and there were probably about 40, 50 boats back there. So I think it's going to be about finding maybe that clear water, but in an area where not other people are going to be able to get back into or aren't willing to go back into, whether it's far away from ramp or you have to make a little trek into some backwaters. But the fish are going to be located in those areas very heavily, but they're just going to be spread up among all the different anglers catching them. So I think it's about finding the right water, but finding it where you're not having to fight over the fish with other people too.
Yeah, definitely some strategy that plays into all this at each and every event. We just came off the Bass Pro Shops Big Bass Bash presented by Berkeley, and there was some talk there about, how anglers were going to manage the weigh-in sessions and where they were going to go in different parts of the lake to be able to find success. And same thing will happen here. It's do you want to be in amongst the crowd and kind of pick your way to a 5-fish limit, or do you try and do something like y'all said that is a little different, that gets you into an area where you've got it to yourself and then you can work and find those 5 bites? We'll know soon in just a couple days what the winning pattern will be for the AFTCO Collegiate Bass Open this go around at Lake Dardanelle in Russellville, Arkansas. We're talking with Caden Radzitsky and Collier DeClercq, members of the University of Arkansas Bass Fishing Club. Let's talk a little bit about the team here real quick. I myself, a former graduate, was a part of the team the very first year that the Bass Pro Shop School of the Year presented by Abu Garcia was ever instituted by the ACA. We finished in third. Arkansas Tech, ironically, finished in first. 2 teams from the state in the top 3 that very first year of the national rankings. Kane, talk a little bit about the current state of the club. It's something that we talk about here a lot at the office, but you see, especially for the student-ran organizations, based on interest from other fellow students and things like that, these clubs kind of ebb and flow, and I've seen it even with the club in my time. When we were in school, they just won the ACA National Championship, had a good, strong run for like 5 or 6 years. A lot of those kids graduate. It doesn't get picked up, and it kind of goes in a lull, and y'all have slowly started to build this thing back up over the last few years and getting out and being more active and participating. Talk about the current status of the team there at the University of Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it around the head there. When you have certain people move out of the club, it's just going to, die down, and it's not going to carry that momentum. But right now, we're, like you said, on up and up. We are trying to bring in more talent from Arkansas. We're trying to keep people in Arkansas. We have plenty of people who can help this club win tournaments, get amazing school of the year standings. And our mission right now is to kind of do as much outreach as possible with the community and say, hey guys, look, you might not have to go to Tennessee to fish, Kentucky, Alabama. You can stay here. We have a great club. Right now we're right at 50 members, not all of which are competitive active fishermen, but we do have a strong core of fishermen. And I do believe that, here in about 2-3 years, we will be, top 15 school.
Yeah, it's definitely a good goal to have, something to aim for, to have relevancy in that national ranking system. The Bass Pro Shop School of the Year presented by Abu Garcia, that has a lot of benefits in terms of national exposure through different media properties with the ACA and CARECO, as well as, you can go down the list of what that means when people see all that, whether it's anglers wanting to be a part of your team, brands noticing who you are, stuff that you can take and market your club to show the value that you can bring to brands and the university at the same time. So definitely a good goal to be able to achieve that success in terms of ranking for the national ranking system in the Bass Pro Shop School of the Year presented by Abu Garcia. Collier, give us a little breakdown. How did you get to be involved with the club? Is it something that you always had the goal and intention of doing? Myself, I had been keeping an eye on the U of A. It's actually the only school that I applied to and looked at even attending, really. And after I had done so was that summer, I think the club won the national championship, and that part was all cool. And so I knew going up there in my freshman year that I wanted to be involved with the bass fishing club there. Kind of talk about your journey to where you're at now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. About 6 or 7 years ago, I didn't even realize bass fishing was a thing at all. Whenever it came to like the sport realm of it, one of my good buddies, probably my best friend growing up, his partner bailed out on him in high school, so he just asked me to join him, and I had no clue what I was doing. And our first tournament we actually fished together was on Dardanelle, so I'd never picked up a bait caster before. So I remember that night practicing flipping a jig into like our shoes and like tucks and stuff in the corner of the room, just trying to learn as much as I can. And now I'm at the point where I'm fishing in college, and he's not doing that anymore, and just the passion kind of grew. But just kind of learning different things throughout high school and really diving into it, I kind of figured out that this was something that I was passionate about and truly wanted to do. And I know they set it up really good. They have the high school combine now, and I actually got to go attend that and talk to a lot of the colleges. And it was a really awesome experience. But that's when you kind of realize, there's some really good competition when it comes to collegiate fishing. But I guess kind of similar to you, I only applied to Arkansas. I think growing up in the state in Northwest Arkansas, I was exposed to the university. My parents both went there, so it's kind of the route I wanted to go. And I got some good academic scholarships as well. But my goal coming in was I'm going to this school for my academics, but the main goal is to try and get this team on the right track. And I think you can talk to Kane too, me coming in as a lower classman and talking to him as an upperclassman. It's working well where we're on an upward trend because we've got these younger generations coming in now who are wanting to put the team on this upward track. And I think just that passion and trying to get people involved and compete at a high level, that's kind of setting us up for success and putting us in the right direction.
Kane, same question. Just build upon what Collier was saying there. Provide a little bit of your journey and your story from high school to college and your experience there at college so far as well.
So, I've been in Fayetteville, Arkansas my whole life. I've been a hog my whole life. And I remember I was about 8 years old and I was in church, and some guy, he talked to me. He said, "Hey, I'm on the Arkansas Bass Fishing Club team." And I knew from then, I was like, wow, I didn't know, that was a thing. I didn't know you could pursue fishing in college. And, I've been fishing my whole life. So, kind of went in and out of fishing growing up, and then, started looking for colleges because I knew that's the path I wanted to go down. And, I didn't look too far because I knew my whole life, like, hey, look, this is a great school. They have exactly what I want. And on top of that, they have this fishing community, which has been super supportive. I can't tell you how many people talk to me since I've been here past 3.5 years. They say, look, like, I'm coming to the school because of your club team. And when you hear words like that, it's like, wow, I was basically like that kid. And I want to set something up to where, when they come here, they're not disappointed. They have something that they can utilize and, improve as a collegiate bass angler. So, yeah, my goal right now is just to, nurture that younger team and keep them going. Because, how bad would it have been if, you told my younger self there was a club team here and then I came here and it was nothing. So I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely good goals to have. The next step to be able to put some notoriety and name backing to your club there at the University of Arkansas is going to be the AFTCO Collegiate Bass Open, as we talked about, where y'all will be in attendance. Collier, last question for the interview here. What do y'all want to achieve as a club and a team next weekend in terms of Bass Pro Shop School of the Year presented by Abu Garcia points, and then obviously in the overall standings of the tournament, those two building upon each other? What do you want to see the club do for y'all to leave that weekend and be like, this was a really good success and a stepping stone that's going to get us even closer to achieving the goals we've been discussing today?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we've struggled on Dardanelle a lot before. It's a really tough fishery, especially us being used to fishing Beaver Lake and Table Rock and a lot of these highland reservoirs that we're not really used to fishing river systems. So coming down to Dardanelle, ultimately we want everyone to go out and catch limits and catch a good bag. But like our goal is, like Kane was saying, we want to reach that national notoriety and level. So we want at least one, if not more, of our teams to qualify for nationals. You know, it's an ambitious goal, getting in those top rankings, but we really do think it's possible. And this is one of those lakes where there's going to be a lot of boats, but you can put your head down. And I feel like we have some really determined anglers who can make it happen. So we're just excited to see what's going to go down this tournament. And we think we've got a good shot to get some teams in some good places.
Second event of the season, the AFTCO Collegiate Bass Open, going to take place at Lake Dardanelle in Russellville, Arkansas on October 11th through 12th. Be sure to check the ACA website, collegiatebasschampionship.com, for further details, live streaming of weigh-in, live blog coverage, you name it, as well as across social media for even more extensive coverage of that tournament set to take place here really soon. Guys, Kane and Collier, thanks for joining us here today, and best of luck at Lake Dardanelle.
Thank you.
Welcome to Minnow King. How can I help you?
Everything looks good. I'm friggin' starving, man. Been spawning all morning.
Ugh, TMI, bro. What do you want?
I'll take a Crush City freeloader and gizzard shad.
Anything to drink?
Water.
Pull ahead, please. Welcome to Minnow King.
We're gonna have what he's had.
Yeah, throw me in a Ned BLT too.
Pull ahead, please.
Calm down. Quit feeding him so much.
Hey, man, I'm trying to, man. If you
If you overfeed him, he's gonna hide under a log.